start, could you each introduce us to your characters in this series? Natalie, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. So I play Lauren Howell. She is an assistant mortician, funeral director at the local town funeral home. And she is a badass, if I had to just sum it up in one word. And she really picks people up and like gets them going. And when this zombie apocalypse is hitting their town, she's probably one of the catalysts to getting people in motion to fight against what's going on.
I'm Keenan Tracey. I play Cam McDermott. He's the groundskeeper at the local cemetery, which is sort of ground. I won't say ground zero, but I'll say ground one for where our story starts. He starts off really reluctant, timid to basically do anything. He has a hard time making decisions. He's really indecisive, and I feel like that's where the chemistry between him and Lauren comes in. She kind of mobilizes him to action and gets his butt into gear. And he balances her out because he's got a soft side. And his zombie apocalypse is only good sometimes.
What was it about this particular character and script that attracted each of you to this project?
I mean, I've always loved horror in general. So when I got this through my email, I always get kind of excited for it because it's stuff I like working on and watching. So it was an easy one to want. So, but when it came around and I found out I was doing it, I was really stoked. I'm a big fan of the old films, and it was nice. It was nice being a part of something that you already know you like. So yeah, I was stoked.
Yeah, no, totally. Like really excited to be part of a part of this legacy. Really excited about that. There also is that little bit of, anxiety of wanting to do it right and to make sure that we're paying tribute in the most respectable and best way. And I think we did that. And I hope that the fans really appreciate and love that. And love what we did.
And this is a unique story that takes place over a course of a day. How does that affect the way that you approach and prepare for this project?
It's definitely interesting. Like it makes it immediately different than most things. Most things will take place over at least more than that. So you'll at the very least change your clothes once. Unless you're only in one scene, chances are you're going to have a change to do. When it's all one day, that's not the case. You're in a one of 10 versions of a different amount of blood on the same clothes. So if you change, it's because there's more blood on those same clothes later. You're shooting a later scene, but it's the same outfit. You feel like you start to feel like a Family Guy character, like Simpsons. You just show up every week in the same uniform. But it's kind of cool. I feel like it sort of it gives your character like a look, essentially. Like I said, like in a cartoon, or even superheroes, what their outfit is. They have a look. They don't have wardrobe changes. They have this thing that they always wear. So I think it kind of gives us that. So when we make action figures, we'll have our me in cargo shorts. Yes.
Yes, the cargo shorts. Love it. Staple.
Many of the characters in the series are having a really big day in their lives. When each of you look back at your careers, is there a moment that stands out?
I feel like there's just so many little moments that just kind of combine to where I am now. It's hard to really pinpoint any one, but there's just so many moments that have been kind of surreal in a way. Even working on this show has been very surreal. So all of that just kind of combines. There's so many little moments that I would say that have just combined to where I am now.
I would say anytime you get the call, like saying you got a thing, that no matter what kind of day you're having, and for whatever reason, you're usually in the car, and you'll get a call in the car, and you'll answer it. It's your agent, and if they're all there, if it's a conference call with the team, that's usually good news or really, really bad news. So you get that call, and no matter what kind of day you're having, it can totally turn your day around. And yeah, getting that call is, I feel like that's the first most memorable part of every gig. Is that. The moment you know you're on it, it's pretty exciting. And especially something like this, like I said, something I was aware of and a fan of. So getting signed on to this, I was extra excited for this.
This is a very character-driven series, and we see a lot of intricate relationships over the course of the 10 episodes. Which was your favorite to explore and why?
I think like the banter that Cam and Lauren had was a lot of fun to play with. It's like natural. It's like right off the top when you first meet the two of them, like you feel that banter. And I think it like as the characters grew and as the episodes go by, you feel that banter go by. And I think naturally like the banter between like Keenan and myself is as people like also was coming through. And I think that came through as the characters, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say that scripted, I like the banter and the relation between Cam and Lauren the most, and they're my favorite scenes to do, but largely to do with the fact that was like we weren't really faking it. Most of our scenes were together. The majority of our days on set were spent together, and especially in this time, you all feel like a tight-knit team. Me and Nat, we became really good friends, and it was really easy to have that banter, and I think it comes through in the thing.
On this already earlier, but you're no stranger to horror. What is it about this genre that excites you as an actor and creative?
I don't like things that feel like they have limits or boundaries. If that comes to like what's shown, I mean, people in real life are real. They won't not swear in front of you because there's no one there. No one cares. And I feel like when you have to censor yourself in any regard, it immediately feels less than real life. And I feel like with horror specifically, there aren't really any of those rules. Not that I'm running around killing people with lawnmowers, but I think there's this limitless feeling to it. Like nobody here is too sensitive to see this. And I feel like it unites the viewers because you've each chosen this thing that a lot of people have a hard time watching. I know a lot of people who don't like gore for one, or suspense, or that jump scare, hot blood, electric shock feeling. And I personally love that. I love feeling things, and I love being surprised. And nothing surprises you more than feeling like your blood is charged with electricity because you've just been shocked. You know, I love that feeling. I really do. So working on it, it just feels like you're just in it more, and I don't know. I love it all. It feels boundless.
And Natalie, this is the first time in your career that you've lived with a character for an extended period of time. Did anything surprise you about the experience? What was the biggest takeaway?
It was definitely a little nerve-wracking. I mean, you don't not knowing what to expect, being this my first series working on in this extent. But what I really loved is that the anxiety or any nervousness that I felt like instantly melted away as I got to know the cast members and the crew, and everyone was just so great and made it so easy to just be able to just fall into character and feel comfortable being in front of the camera and doing what I love to do, because everyone is there doing what they love to do, and it made it really easy.
You all filmed this series during a time where it did feel like the world was ending. How helpful was that in getting to the mindset and building out this universe?
I mean, everything felt. This was the first thing I had done post End of the World, and I don't know, everything, all the things that you think would make the days inconvenient or harder that technically do are kind of what makes you feel more united with your team. You're all in it together. All of a sudden, it's like being on a ship and everything's smooth sailing, and then and then there's a storm, and all of a sudden your crew really has to work together to like get you through the storm essentially. And I feel like it's an extra thing to unite you when you have this common pressure.
The series is a love letter to the legacy that George A. Romero built and brings a fresh take to this genre. What are some of the innovations that viewers can expect to see?
Well, there's definitely a lot of little Easter eggs throughout the series that Romero fans will likely, hopefully pick up on and love. And, you know, the aspect, George Romero's films were really embedded with a lot of social commentary. And I think that was a very important aspect of his work, which translates to the series. And a lot of relevant social issues are brought up. And I think that's an important aspect that we didn't want to leave out, and that is very much there.
That's actually the perfect segue to this next question. But speaking of that social commentary, we see a lot of it throughout this series. Was there a particular theme that hit home for each of you?
I think one thing was that, like, well, Mayor Bowman is like petitioning essentially to be reelected, and at the same time, we also had the U.S. election going on. So that was a very relevant time, and I think at that time there was a lot of divide going on, and we still kind of see a lot of divide right now. And Mayor Bowman's election was also creating a lot of divide. So that was a very interesting parallel for me, and made it very real because of what was going on in the real world.
Yeah, just seeing how the politics of things can split people, and how basically anything, and the more serious anything is, I feel like the more it can split people. So obviously there's this huge thing that comes up, and it's this zombie apocalypse, and yeah, you see the way it divides the town. And I think that in particular, like Natalie said, that's a super timely subject. You know, I feel like we're in a time where you see people divided, and it's not even in a lot of different ways. It's kind of like just these one or the other things right now, and politically speaking, I think they really touch on that, and
it really shows, like, you know, these people who are vastly different in a lot of different ways come together for a common cause. There's this mutual thing. Yes. They all have to come together for, and I think that kind of translates to what we're going through right now. A lot of people are divided and not seeing what are the common things that can bring people together, and instead kind of just finding the things that kind of separate them. And I think that you'll see that throughout the show as well.
Yeah, well said. And there's so much to love about the show. There's action, there's comedy, there's gore. Is there a scene that you're excited for your fans to see?
Basically anything. I was saying in one of these other ones, there's a lot of these like yes moments where things like where the zombies just get in one way or another annihilated, and you've been waiting for it, and you've seen these characters go through so much that when they finally get theirs, it's a celebration, and it's there's a lot of that in this. I feel like there's a lot of tension build up, and there's a lot of moments where you can have that release of that tension at that heightened moment. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of fun. I think it's also really cool to watch the characters come together. Like everyone kind of starts off in their own little worlds, and this apocalypse happens, and like we all kind of find each other, and like to see the relationship that happens and that forms between characters, and you know the things that kind of happen there is really cool to watch. I think the dynamic between the characters is going to be a fun thing to watch.